is what we call plodders. They pile up their evidence brick by brick, like they're building a wall. So even if it's like watching the grass grow, in some instances, like presenting the city assessor to tell us the fair market value, its assessed value, etc. It's like watching your nails grow. Sometimes it's really irritating. But at the same time, we were also sitting through the prosecution presenting register of deeds after register of deeds after register of deeds. And it was also like watching the grass grow. But that's what litigation is about. The exciting parts, they're about 20%. The others are having your evidence marked. So those of you who want to become lawyers, you're going to have to live with this fact. That there are parts talaga that are irritatingly boring. We'd like to cut them out as much as possible in impeachment, but you really can't help it. The defenses had 4 days. The prosecution had 20-some. So I think that in the weight of things, I think they still have a chance to be the hot, brash, young attorneys that the prosecution was at the start, or continues to do so. But it's easy to cross-examine. Noong umpisa, we were all dissing the prosecution. But it's easier to cross-examine than it is to build your case. And the burden here is on the prosecution, building a case and going up against the presumption of innocence, because that is what the prosecution has to do. They have to break down the presumption of evidence and present their case. The defense doesn't even have to present a defense if the prosecution is weak. They could have filed a demurrer to evidence, except for the public clamor to put in the Chief Justice or to present evidence. The Senate President himself was very vocal. Present your evidence. If the defense said, di na kailangan, the Senate would have insisted. So para lang patas, para lang all sides could be heard. But really, it's far more difficult to be the prosecution.
Attorney Trixie, may katanungan po tayo sa Facebook mula kay Jenny Castro. Kailan po ba matatapos ang impeachment trial? Malabo na po ba talaga ang March 23?
It really depends on how much evidence the defense is going to present.
Kahit po nasabi ng defense yata na they try to finish next week sa pagpresenta ng kanilang mga testigo.
That's very brave of them, really. But if they can finish presenting by next week, then I have no doubt will be done before Holy Week. But you know, the way things are going, they're presenting certain witnesses that really could have been presented via stipulation. For example, yung presentation ng tax declarations, the prosecution could have said, the defense could have said, prosecution, are you willing to stipulate? E di pumasok na yon. My concern also is that the prosecution at some point was saying, ay, irrelevant yung witness na yan. And it could have ended there, but they conducted cross-examination, which was, 1, an admission of relevance, and 2, was again like watching the grass grow. The fact could have been admitted at the start. However, because nga this is the process, then we must respect also the manner with which both sides present. To the question kung matatapos ito by Holy Week, my God, I hope so.
Attorney Trixie, just to follow up on that, sinagot na po ng depensa itong source of funds. Does that mean that Article 2.4 will have to be brought in on rebuttal?
No, Article 2.4 cannot be brought in at all. The Senate has already ruled that there is no charge of ill-gotten wealth. So, especially not on rebuttal. If the prosecution had argued that it could have been included, then they could, at the start pa lang, they could have presented evidence. So, no, unfortunately not even on rebuttal.
Okay, maraming salamat, Attorney Trixie. At alamin naman natin ang sinasabi ng mga tao sa mga survey patungkol dito sa impeachment trial ni Chief Justice Renato Corona.
As of 10 a.m. This morning, mula sa Yahoo Philippines, are the pieces of evidence enough to impeach Chief Justice Renato Corona? Respondents po ay 28,030, 57% said yes, 43% said no.
Mula naman sa Philippine Daily Inquirer, inquirer.net, do you think Chief Justice Renato Corona should testify in the impeachment trial? 79.94% said yes, 20.06% said no.
Mula naman sa website ng Philippine Star, ang tanong po, do you think Chief Justice Renato Corona will be convicted by the Senate? 35,159 respondents, 61% said yes, 39 ang nagsabing no.
Mula naman sa ABS-CBN, if you earned 21 million pesos in the last 10 years, can you buy 4 prime condos? 64.04% said yes. Ano ba to? No?
62.23% said no.
And then 13.4% just one condo. 11.8% it depends on spouse's income and family wealth. 8.03% yes. 1.64% no. At 1.45% two condos.
At mula pa rin sa ABS-CBN website, ang tanong, is it wrong for Chief Justice Corona to go on a media blitz and air his side before the defense presents its case? 60.98% said yes, he's discussing the merits of the case. 36.29% said certainly not, he is free to speak out. And 2.73% wala pong opinion.
At tanungin naman natin ang mga huling pananalita o message ng ating mga guests ngayon. Umpisahan natin kay Senator Rene Sagisag.
Given yung recent polls, importante talaga na si Rene Corona should go to the Senate and present his defense in a legally tenable, intellectually respectable, and psychologically satisfying manner. Yan, sa Senado yan. Iba. Ang national jury naman, baka maiba ang desisyon. Kaya to me, walang choice si Rene, kundi to be subjected to cross-examination under oath.
Sunod naman nating hinga ng mensahe si Father Bartolome Sagadal. Father?
Sa akin, hayaan natin gumulong ang hustisya. Sana po lilitaw ang katotohanan, ang tamang katarungan at ang moralidad, at lalo't higit manawagan ako na isulong na yung freedom of information para lahat ay mahalungkat. So hindi lang sa partikular na tao, kung lahat para manatili ang katarungan para sa bayan.
Okay, Mr. Conrado de Quiros.
Ang tingin ko lang yun nga, sinasabi ko lagi, dapat I think we should exert ourselves to be heard. Dapat ma-influensya natin yung impeachment court in the manner that I mentioned earlier. Tinatanong nyo kanina, anong tingin nyo dun sa performance ng defense? Ang tingin ko, they're doing their job. Kasi kinakahon nila yung impeachment trial. Yan lang naman dapat nilang gawin. The more confined the space is, the better for them. I think that they started to win the case long before they presented their case. They started winning their case to nagdesisyon ang Supreme Court na wag hayaang buksan yung dollar account si Corona. Bakit pinayagan ng impeachment court yun? It ceded, it lost its integrity the day they agreed that the Supreme Court could rule something like that. The ball is now in the Supreme Court. Ang Supreme Court, every time may mangyayari dun sa impeachment court, they can always have their say. May mga tinatanong natin lagi, anong mangyayari pag inakwit si Corona? O i-convict siya from the point of view ng presidente. Look at it this way too. Pag inakwit si Corona, anong gagawin ng Supreme Court? They can always say, no, we're going to review this. Pinayagan na sila Hindi ba? Pinayagan sila. You cannot open the accounts. We will not agree to send people to you. Kung sino nagdidesisyon, ang Supreme Court. So pag kinunwikin si Corona, the Supreme Court can always say, no, we're going to review this.
Maraming salamat, Mr. De Quiros. Alamin naman natin final thoughts ni Carl sa Tinitigan.
Boring na po kung boring, pero I personally want to know the real net worth of the Chief Justice. Gusto ko pong malaman kung talagang pinapaboran niya si Gloria Arroyo, at dahil gusto ko rin malaman kung ano ba talaga yung nangyari dun sa one-woman rule ni Gloria Arroyo noon. Kung hindi po natin malalaman yung katotohanan sa paglilitis na ito, hindi po natin malalaman yung katotohanan ng buong 10 taon na nasayang.
Alright, and from a historian's point of view, Gloria Melencio?
Mahirap man po i-spell yung impeachment. Naintindihan naman po ng karaniwang mamamayan ng paglilitis. Kaya mahalaga po yung pakikisangkot ng lahat, lalo na yung mga nanay dyan, yung mga tatay. Habang nagsasaing tayo, pwedeng nakikialam, inaalam natin dahil kinabukasan to ng ating magiging anak. Kinabukasan ito. At ito ay permanenteng maitatala sa kasaysayan.
Ang ating political analyst naman, Mr. Ramon Casiple, your final message for our viewers.
Well, mahabang drama na kasi. Meron pang isang drama tayo dapat bantayan, yung mga kaso laban kay former President GMA. Para sa akin kasi sideshow lang ito eh. Mahalaga man itong impeachment, malaking impact nito sa reforma siguro sa judiciary, but at the end of the day, sideshow to. Ako ang tingin ko, dumating na sa point na handa na yung mga senador magboto eh. Ang question na lang talaga, ano ba yung testimony ni Chief Justice Corona? Yun na lang ang tingin, for me, yun na lang relevant eh. Kasi karamihan nga ng tanong ang ending sa kanya. At kung mag-testify siya, tingin ko, tapos na yan before Holy Week.
At mula naman sa Integrated Bar of the Philippines, Attorney Trixie Angeles.
This is one of those few trials that are played out in full before the public. So there's a book called The Dancing Woolly Masters. I don't know if you've heard about it. But there's a study of quantum particles. And they said that even unsentient things like quantum particles, they change their behavior when they're observed. So the same thing with the trial. It's quite possible that all this media attention, all this public attention, changes the behavior not only of the accused or of the players, the lawyers, the senators. It also, in turn, changes us, the observers, because of what is going on. But the power lies in us, those of us who are observing. We can bring to bear the enormous public pressure, and it is felt by all the players, not with the accused, not the least of all. We can put pressure on and require all the players to observe the rule of law so that justice be done, regardless of how we feel about what the outcome should be. Because what happens when there's discussion outside and discussion inside, the problem is bridging the gap between two expectations. The trial itself, the issues are really rather simple. Did the Chief Justice violate the Constitution? Did he culpably violate the Constitution, commit treason, betray the public trust? These are the issues solely for the impeachment trial. Outside of that, is the Chief Justice the henchman of Gloria Arroyo and therefore the instrument of the former administration and a major player in corruption of government? These two ideas, while they're not completely separate, have to be bridged. It's possible that the impeachment trial will not answer the question that we ask, those of us who are observing, those of us on the outside. But that we must accept what goes on inside. We must accept the rules, we must accept the law, because this is how justice is done. But it's not going to mean that we lose if the Chief Justice is acquitted. It doesn't also mean that we win if the Chief Justice is convicted. What it means is that either the system works or the system must be changed. Either way, the power still lies with us, the observers, because we can change the behavior of even these sentient beings or players in the impeachment trial.
Kaya nga po, mahalaga, makialam, makilahok, bumuo ng sarili niyong opinyon. Magbabalik pa po ang Paglilitis, Katarungan para sa Bayan.